Good day everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about the 5 books you should read that could change how you live your life. So before we go on any further, I would like to mention that I used to buy physical books, but however as I travel a lot for work, it becomes impractical to carry all the books that I would like to read, so I end up getting the 2019 Kindle. It only cost me slightly less than $100 at that time, and it empowered me to be able to read much more than I was used to. You simply have to connect to your home Wi-Fi, connect your Amazon account to your Kindle, and you'll be able to buy any books that's available for a fraction of the price of the physical book, and it gets downloaded to your Kindle as well. And now when you travel, you have access to any of those books you have downloaded, even if you do not have Wi-Fi connected to the Kindle. The battery on this lasts about 3 weeks, so there should not be any worries that the battery will not last. Now enough about the convenience that the Kindle brings. Let's get on to the 5 books I will recommend to read in 2022. The first book will be Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So in the book, the author talks about his 2 dads, his real dad, i.e. poor dad, which represents the majority of us, and the father of his best friend, Rich Dad, which obviously represents the wealthy people in the world. And the book talks about the ways in which both men shaped his thoughts about money and investing, both in the good ways and the bad ways. The book debunks the myth that you do not need to earn a high income to become rich. It also explains several methods of managing your personal finance effectively, and teaches you the difference between working for money and having money work for you. In the book, it also talks about the importance of being able to read financial statements and draw important information from those numbers and apply them in useful ways, like studying companies' financial statement to evaluate if they're worth investing, worth your money, or even evaluate your own company if you do own one. This book honestly made me rethink my current financial situation and how to improve on it. I never once studied accounting in my life, and I agreed with this book that being able to read financial statements is an essential skill to have, which leads me to my second book. So the second book I would recommend would be Financial Intelligence for Entrepreneurs by Karen Berman and Joe Knight. Before I got this book, I got the Accounting for Dummies over here. No doubt, it has all the information you would ever need about accounting, or if you have no financial background at all, this would be a good book. However, it's so packed with information that it can be overwhelming for someone like myself with no accounting or financial background at all. So the Financial Intelligence for Entrepreneurs is really catered for someone like myself. It really does a good job on pointing out exactly what you need to know about accounting, such as how to read income statements, cash flow statements, and balance sheets. It also gives you the insight on important ratios or percentages that you should know to monitor trends and the health of your business, and what these numbers mean to you and your business future. You could be a manager for a company or a business owner, or you just want to improve your financial knowledge. This book will be a fantastic first step. After arming yourself with the knowledge from this book, then by all means proceed with the more advanced books if you are really interested in learning more about accounting. So the third book I would recommend is The Power of Focus by Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, and Les Hewitt. This book is basically discussing about the fact that most people are looking to achieve more in less time while earning enough money to live comfortably. The book reviews the proven techniques thousands of people have used to attain all the money they wanted while living healthy, happy, and balanced lives. I'll further summarize this book with 3 big lessons that I got from it. So lesson number 1, in order to become more productive, we must create healthy habits and stick to them. So for example, every day you wake up, there are certain things you do out of habit, such as brushing your teeth. You don't waste your time thinking about whether you should do that or how to do it. Along the day, there are dozens of things that you can do the same way. But what if you could automate productivity as well? If you become accustomed to reading 10 pages of a book a day, you could read 300 pages a month. And that is at least one regular book, but this is just one example of many. The point is, you should work on automating productive habits just like how you did with your current daily ones. The first thing you want to do is identify unproductive habits, such as spending too much money, or being late for meetings, then replace this with habits with productive ones. Seek inspirations from the internet or the people around you and pick up good traits. Lastly, create a 3-step plan to achieve your goals. For example, if you are looking to increase your net worth, you can consult with a financial advisor, invest in long-term securities, and automate the transfer of a certain percent of your monthly income in a savings account. Create a formula that works best for you and stick to it. That's the important part. Lesson number 2. Use the problem solver method to overcome the challenges and setbacks. So what I mean by that is everybody experiences setbacks. It could be your bills for the month skyrocketed, or that you experience a negative event in your personal life. Although the circumstances differ for each of us, the problem solver method functions as a universal cure. The outcome of any situation depends on your actions. This fact is not arguable. However, the way we choose to respond is subjective to each of us. Some people choose to forget about the problem as if it wasn't there, and some choose to solve it. If you like to take responsibility for your life, you should become the second type of person. Start by asking yourself a series of questions such as, how would I like this situation to turn out? Where do I ideally see this situation going? For example, your business may have encountered a negative trend in sales. Then look for information that will help you achieve the desired outcomes. Research and apply. And if you find it difficult, remember that you can always ask people for help. Showing vulnerabilities in your tactics, knowing where you lack the know-how, and when it's time to get support is a sign of strength. The third lesson I got from this book is procrastination hinders the decision-making process by stealing our time and focus. Our natural inclination to postpone and to procrastinate is what creates this unproductive habit that makes us lose our focus. Therefore, we must break this trait, starting with identifying the cause. Usually it is one of these 4 reasons. 1. Boredom. 2. An overwhelming amount of work. 3. Unenjoyable work or plain laziness. So ask yourself, are you looking for a new challenge or something to break the rut? Do you feel stuck in the routine? If you could change anything related to your work, what would it be? If you find that solving these inquiries could make you passionate about your work, chances are you're bored of your professional life. Perhaps you feel overwhelmed with the amount of work. If you do, imagine a negative and positive scenario for your procrastination. What would happen if you don't fulfill your task? What would happen if you did? This can help you become more proactive and regain your focus. Still, it could be that you are not enjoying your work or job. If you find yourself in an unpleasant working environment, consider switching it. Oftentimes, our greatest success is outside our comfort zone. Moreover, if none of these are relatable to you, maybe you are the type of person that gets distracted easily. Try to be more objective with yourself and act as if you were a parent catching yourself using the mobile phone too much. Staying focused is the key, so consider turning off the internet while working, eliminating any source of distraction. Allocate enough time, such as an hour, when you are completely dedicated to your work. The 4th book I would like to recommend is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book provides technique to kill your bad habits and how to create good ones. So according to the book, it is a complete, fun and engaging and simple to understand compendium of those strategies. That's a lot of words. I highly recommend you to make it your first step when wanting to learn about the science of habits. And one of the favorite ideas I got from this book is constantly improving 1% a day. If you upkeep a habit that gets you improving 1% a day, the end result in just a couple of years will be exponential. So the big 3 lessons I got from these books are: lesson number 1, all habits are based on 4-step pattern, which consists of cue, craving, respond, and reward. When it comes to habits, James suggests that the environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. That is why a prompt is always the first step in performing any habits. It may not always be external, but most of the time it will be. Then 3 more stages follow to complete the 4-step pattern. So for Q, a piece of information that suggests there's a reward to be found, like a smell of a cookie or a dark room waiting to light up. Second part will be craving, the motivation to change something to get the reward, like tasting the delicious cookie or being able to see. Third will be the response, which is whatever thought or action you need to take to get to the reward. And lastly, the fourth part will be the reward, the satisfying feeling you get from the change, along with the lessons whether to do it again or not. So the second big lesson I learned from this book is to form habits, you must make them obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. So from the 4-step patterns he suggests, James then derives 4 laws of behavior change, which corresponds to one part of the loop each. Here they are. So along with some ideas for how you can use them to facilitate good behaviors and make bad ones harder. So the first one would be to make it obvious. For example, you are trying to eat healthier, eat more fruits in your life, right? So don't hide your fruits in the fridge. Put them on the front and center of your fridge so that whenever you open the fridge, you will see them. Secondly, make it attractive. So start with the fruits that you like the most, so you actually want to eat the ones that you see. Next, make it easy. So don't create needless friction by focusing on fruits that are hard to peel. Bananas and apples are a good example. They're easy to eat. So lastly, make it satisfying. If you like the fruit you picked, you will love eating it and feel healthier as a result. You can apply this to all kinds of good habits like running, working on a side project, spending more time with family, and so on. Conversely, do the opposite for bad habits. Make them invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. For example, you could hide your cigarettes, add financial penalties, get rid of all lighters, and only allow yourself to smoke outside in the cold. The third lesson I learned from Atomic Habits is Habit Tracker is a fun and easy way to ensure you stick with your new behaviors. So with a framework like this, making and breaking habits become fun. You will likely want to tackle multiple things sooner rather than later, but it's important to not take on too much at once. An easier way of keeping accountable without being overwhelmed is to track your habits with a habit tracker. The idea is simple. You keep a record of all the behaviors you want to establish or abandon, and at the end of each day, you mark which ones you succeeded with. This record can be a single piece of paper, a journal, a calendar, or an app. And since habits are the compound interest for self-improvement, that's a process we should all start today. Some little tidbits of what else I learned from this book is firstly, how our brains forms habits in the first place. Secondly, why all habits should be easy to start. And lastly, how to use the implementation intentions to improve follow-through. And the fifth and last book I would recommend reading is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. In this book, it talks about doing well with money isn't necessarily about what you know. It's about how you behave, and behavior is hard to teach. It also talks about money being typically taught as a math-based field where data formulas tell us exactly what to do, just like the other books I've recommended and talked about earlier. But in the real world, people don't make financial decisions on a spreadsheet. They make them at the dinner table or in a meeting room where personal histories, your unique view of the world, ego, pride, marketing, and odd incentive are scrambled together. And this causes us to make bad financial decisions based on how we feel and not based on facts. So the big 3 lessons I got from this book is lesson number 1, when it comes to managing your money, it's better to leave greed out of it. The book gives an example of this guy called Jesse Livermore, who is a stock market trader born in 1877. So prior to the notorious market crash that occurred in 1929, he took a short position. This means that he made a bet that the stock market will fall. As it turns out, this was the best decision he ever made in his career, as he gained $3 billion out of it. Normally this amount would have been enough to set him up for life. Well, not quite based on the book. So this winning trade made Livermore more invincible. So it wasn't long until he lost everything he earned by placing all on the wrong trades. This sudden downfall pushed him to the edge, urging him to take his life one night. The problem was that success made him want even a bigger slice of the cake, although he already had more than the average person could wish for. The lesson here is do not be greedy and learn from the humble. So lesson number 2, strong emotions such as envy can push you towards making sloppy decisions. So when it comes to money and investing in general, there are certain factors that we should consider and learn how to control in order to become successful. Besides envy, fear of missing out is one of them as well. When you evaluate your investments and choose to place certain trades, you have to stick with them through good and bad. Therefore, the emotional fear is one of the most important things you can work on if you want to become financially independent. Also, always remember that your journey will be different from any other person you know or heard of. So there's no need to compare yourself with them or be jealous of anyone's greater assets. The third and final lesson from this book is the experiences we have early on in our life determine our financial decisions. So this book talks about like all of us growing up differently. So while something may look natural to you, it may be unheard of for someone else. So just think about it this way: is your childhood similar to someone born in the 1900s? The 1960s? The entire 20th century? Of course not. So there are people growing up in times of financial crisis, and on the other hand, there are people who experience bull market trade even for a decade. As such, the two types would have very different opinions about what a good investment strategy consists of, whether a portfolio should be stock-based or bond-based, or how much risk is worth taking. While we may think that we know it all or have no hidden biases, a study conducted proves that people invest according to how the economy looked like when they were young adults. As such, someone who experiences high inflation may not see bonds as a good investment, while someone who's been through turbulent times for the stocks may think the opposite. So it's utmost importance that we acknowledge our hidden biases and thinking traits so as to be able to diminish them and make better choices. In general, any financial decision should always be backed up by sound analysis, reliable facts, and an open mind to the new perspective and constructive criticism. So guys, that's all I have for this video. I hope you found this video useful to discover some books that perhaps you did not know of to read in 2022. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It will help out my channel a lot. And if you do enjoy my content, please hit the subscribe button as well. Thank you and have a wonderful day.